Hi again then guys, and so the 1.19 update of course dropped today on Gran Turismo Sport, and this particular video is going to give you a rough overview of all of the individual details, the cars, the tracks that are featured in said update, and of course we're going to go much more in depth into all of the cars, the tracks, the tuning, the rivals, all that kind of stuff in the coming weeks on the channel, so stick around for that of course. Now first of all, let's consider some of the stuff that's just briefly mentioned. Stuff, for instance, like there's new career mode events, some of which you can see in the video, new endurance races, new championship type events, you could say. We've got a new circuit experience as well. I was kind of surprised that they didn't add a Le Mans circuit experience. Maybe they will. I think they probably will actually, maybe in the next update. But we have new career mode stuff, that's the point. We also have a couple of interesting new things in manufacturers which don't have new cars. We've got a photo mode escape location selection, you could say, from Porsche, kind of teasing us with some of the Porsches featured there, and also the museum section for Dodge has been added as well, again teasing us with stuff that we don't have, like the Charger, at least for the moment. But with all of that out the way, there's only one car in the pack that I haven't purchased yet, because that brings us to what you might be wondering, and that is, how much are all of these cars going to cost you? Well, that's the funny thing, because you can buy 8 out of the 9 cars for a total price, altogether, even the Le Mans cars, of 3,466,000 credits. That's not for one car, that's for 8 of them. Everything except the Lamborghini, not too surprisingly. And one of the reasons why is because the new Group C cars, which are incidentally in Group 1, as some predicted, interesting to see that. I can see why they would do that, but yeah, I have mixed feelings on that. But they cost 1 million credits each. Very, very interesting. A lot more affordable than they used to be, putting them easily on par with the modern LMP cars, like the Peugeot 908s, the Porsche 919s. So it's pretty good as far as value goes. You get a ton of bang for buck. And so let's get into those. The new Le Mans cars, of course you can see Circuit de la Sarthe in the video as well. We're going to be featuring that in the reviews also. We've got multiple times of day, but interesting, no night sections. You cannot drive on the Le Mans at night. Interesting choice, not sure exactly why they did that, at least for the moment. Now first of all, the track looks fantastic. The road is super smooth, it looks bigger, I would say, than it ever has before. The road feels very wide, great for overtaking. And also, especially on the Mulsanne straight, the Honaudière straight, you can get the car to basically just hold the centre of the road on its own. It'll just keep itself there. And that's pretty cool, because it should be like that. It's a street road, it has a camber, and the car does naturally find that groove and stick to it if you let it. Now, in terms of those 3 Le Mans cars, we've got the Nissan R92CP, the Mercedes Salba C9, and of course the Jaguar XJR9. Now, as I said, we're going to look much more in depth at each of these cars, but I love all 3 of them. These are the first Group C cars to be featured in the game. I've been hoping for a long time that they would add them. We did Beards and Cars episodes about how much they need to bring stuff like this back, and they finally have. Now, the fact that they are in Group 1 is actually quite cool, because you can realistically compare them to the newer machines in actual racing scenarios, instead of just having kind of rivalry from afar, if you will, like a Group 1 car against a Group X car, theoretically speaking. So the fact that they are in the same category is cool. Now, the Salba C9 is very cool in the game. It sounds a little bit muted compared to the other 2, but it kind of always has. It's very powerful, top speed is pretty good. Now, all 3 of these Group C cars are nowhere near as powerful as they used to be. In stock form, they're great, over 900 horsepower apiece, 900 kilos or less. You can tune all of them down to just under 800 kilos, which is even more impressive, but you cannot upgrade the power. They all stay under 950, which isn't necessarily a bad thing. Again, it keeps it kind of more competitive than having, say, an 1100 horsepower Group C car up against a 500 or 600 horsepower LMP. But still, either have their advantages for sure. The Salba, though, is a good all-rounder. It pretty much always has been. It's smooth, it's controlled, a little bit slipperier, I would say, than the other 2. As far as the Jaguar, the Jag has always been the car that I found the smoothest of all of the Group C cars. It's super forgiving, very beginner-friendly, not quite as sharp or as quick on some tracks as some of the others, a little bit more sluggish as far as low-end and mid-range acceleration. It feels fantastic though, absolutely fantastic around the Le Mans. and it easily sounds the best of the three as far as I'm concerned. But then, of course, we get to arguably the most important car of the pack, not just because it's my favourite prototype car of all time, it's the last of so many types of racing, the last Longtail, the last of the crazy turbocharged Le Mans cars, and of course the most powerful prototype car ever made with 1200 horsepower in real life. But in the game, this is the first time we've ever had it, not just in premium, but with the detailed interior. It's so cool to finally have that. Unfortunately though, there is kind of a drawback, and you can see that here in the video, because in cockpit view, you can't see a thing. In fact, the steering wheel dominates the road in front of you, so much so that you could literally have a car right in front of you and not see it. So you might want to go into your options menu and raise the driver's seat level, which I believe you can do if I recall correctly, just to overcome that a little bit. But either way, it's great to have cockpit cam. I don't use cockpit cam that much anyway, but it's nice to have the option, and just the car itself, it looks better, all three of them sound better. The gear changes in particular sound fantastic, they're raw, they're brutal, they pop and bang with the unburnt fuel. It sounds fantastic, looks fantastic. The R92 CP, I would say, definitely has the best visual upgrade, because both of the others were already premiums in Gran Turismo 6, whereas, of course, the Nissan wasn't. Now, as far as the others, they're obviously not as exciting. You've got stuff like the Fiat 500, which is, of course, the most important car of the pack. But we've also got the Clio, you've got the Megane, you've got the Subaru BRZ, and they're okay. You know what you're getting with those cars. They're not exactly iconic, or at least not to the same level as the Group C cars, but they will have their fans, for sure. The BRZ drifts very, very well. I've always preferred the Subaru to the Toyota 86 anyway. The Megane Trophy is interesting, a little bit slippery, but it's going to make a good Group 4 car, which is incidentally what it is. I predicted that it probably would be, and that did turn out to be the case. The Clio Rs is pretty cool, kind of a controversial car alongside the Subaru. Feels a little bit like filler, which is a shame. Then you've got the Evo 4. The Evo 4 is not my favourite Evo. It's actually one of my least favourite, probably. I'm not a fan of the look. It's a little bit too understated for me. The Evo 5 I do prefer, and my favourite Lancer of all is actually the 83 intercooler turbo version, which isn't even an Evo technically. But the Evo 4 in this game easily feels better than it ever has before. In fact, I would say it feels better than all of the other Evos in the previous games. It's so good on the dirt, it feels right at home, fantastic through corners, even with minimal tuning, and of course all of the cars make great bases for liveries, be it fictional ones, real ones like the one that you can see on my Evo. But overall, the only one that I haven't bought, as I said, is the Miura, and that brings us back to the pricing, because, as I said, you can buy all 8 of the other cars for under 3.5 million credits, which is really good. However, the Miura alone is 15 million credits, which is the same as what it was before. Now, I predicted that it probably would be, I suspected that it would be maybe 10 to 15 million, so it's not surprising, and it's not necessarily ridiculous that it costs that much. But, of course, it means that some people are going to take a little bit longer to get it. In the case of me, I'm going to have to grind Blue Moon Bay a little bit more. If you are unfamiliar with my money-earning method that a lot of people on the channel love to use, and you'd like to check that out to earn something like the Miura in a couple of days, then click the link in the description to that. It's a very, very popular, very successful video that a ton of people have got a lot of use out of. But I'm going to have to do the event another 13 times, basically, to have enough cash to buy the Miura, and then I'll have all of the cars in the pack. So overall, my thoughts with this new update are, it's probably my favourite one so far for the Group C cars and the Le Mans. Even if that was all we got, I think it would have been great. But the fact that we get all of these others as well is really just a bonus. You've got the career mode events, you've got new Scapes, you've got Porsche, you've got Dodge. There are a lot of extra bits and bobs that make this pack just all the better. Are there things that you can complain about or say I wanted this instead or that instead? Of course. But at the end of the day, I think it's one of the best packs, if not the best pack so far, and it's certainly worth checking out. So, of course, stick around on the channel, as I said, over the coming days for much, much more in-depth reviews, rivals matches, and tuning, of course, for all of these cars. And for now, as always, thanks for watching.